Excellent. Hi, this is John from wohomusic. We're here with Jeremy from the Levellers, who are just about to embark on an evening doing the Levelling the Land gig at the UEA in Norwich.
Yeah.
You're playing the complete album tonight. Do you consider Levelling the Land the best album that you've done?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily my favourite, but it is. It's the best one, I think. You know, taken as a whole. You know, we play it live. You know, like I said, we've been on tour playing it live. It just sounds fucking great. It sounds really good.
It's
I mean, the last one, Letters from the Underground, is really good.
Yeah.
And my favourite one, the first one, I really like as well. Weapon Called the Word. Levelling the Land is the one that people who aren't Levellers fans have in their record collection, and when people think of the Levellers, the sound they're hearing in their head is pretty much always usually what Levelling the Land is, basically.
Yeah. Did you realise when you put the album together that you were onto something that was going to actually leave its mark on people as much? Because I mean, it's a phenomenal album. Because I've known the Levellers work, like you say, since like the first album in England, my home, things like that. And you got on to you got onto Levelling the Land, slightly different to culture, obviously with the addition of Simon that came in at that point. But the songs are just completely timeless. I mean, especially there was a lot of, how can I put it, political awareness and a voice within that album. Do you think that's really carried forward over today? I mean, 20 years later, is the message still the same? Because, I mean...
Pretty much, yeah. Our message has always been, don't believe any messages. Think for yourself. That's all we say. And you know, Levelling the Land, we did quite purposefully the songs. You know, when we first wrote it, you know, we didn't realise we'd be playing it 20 years later, and it was going to be that big. But we knew we'd written a really good record, and when we started to write it, we were, you know, very conscious that because we were writing political songs, you know, and we still do, you know, but we wanted them, although they were written about specific events, we wanted them to stand the test of time. So what we usually do, what we still do now, is write the verses which could be about any specific things or two or three specific things in the same song, and then we do like a coverall chorus that doesn't date, basically. You know, and so that kind of that carries the songs forward, you know, and means you can play them for years and years, and they still stay relevant to what they're originally written about, and then they also become relevant to things that happen in the future.
I was going to say, because at the time, you know, in certain respects, it was quite a protest album, like Another Man's Cause and stuff like that. And now the political climate, like 20 years later, is still as shit really now as it was then, really, isn't it?
Well, it's kind of all gone back to how it was the Conservative governments back in. You know, we open our show with a 7-minute film that was made by a friend of ours called Dunstan, who used to be the singer in a band called Chumbawamba, like a few years. You know, you probably heard of. And he made this film with us that basically shows everything that inspired Levelling the Land, and then it goes through that, and then all the political events up until now. It ends with the student riots, basically, and the rioting in Algeria and Egypt. And to show what's kind of happened over the years, and it's, you know, it's a lot of the same kind of stuff.
do you think we're in for a bit of a summer of discontent? I mean,
fucking hope so.
Good man. It's definitely shaping up that way, isn't it?
We're in for a year of discontent,
right.
and then some. Well, you know, not and then some, because I hope it fucking gets put right. So you don't have to be discontent. But I'm really, really happy, and all of us are, that after a whole generation not doing anything, this one is actually getting up there and going, no, we've fucking had enough. So my hat is off. That is oh, sorry to interrupt, but that is the whole reason behind this film at the start of the show. Yeah. You know, it's to get people angry, basically.
Well, people's voices are starting to be heard again. I mean, not only in Britain but sort of worldwide, which is a good thing. I mean,
yeah. Well, with internet communication, I mean, yeah, it's things are quicker than they ever have been, and communications are better than they ever have been. You know, and that is often used for harm, but if it's used for good, it can be a really positive thing.
Yeah, I mean the lineup of the band hasn't changed since Simon joined. Basically,
Actually, it has slightly, because we got Matt in, who's a keyboard piano player with us, and he's been with us for almost 10 years now. But he plays like piano, does the backing vocals, plays a bit of guitar. On this tour, he's playing percussion as well. So he does basically all the stuff that was on Levelling the Land that we overdubbed and that we could never do live.
Is Steve still doing didgeridoo?
Yeah, Stephen's here.
Steve's X and stuff. Do you think that one of the reasons you have been so successful is that you've stuck to the same band members and the chemistry is stuck, or?
I think that's a lot to do with it, that it is the original, pretty much the original lineup, and it is the original lineup of Levelling the Land. I think that's got a lot to do with it. And, we basically made decisions early on that, when we first got together and all stood in a room and played the first songs that we ever played, we were like, fuck me, this noise is bigger than any of the parts, there's something special going on here. And so we always said to ourselves, long before anyone ever showed any interest in us, but, we always said to ourselves that chemistry, this is a very special thing. And, we learned from the mistakes of, like Joe Strummer sacking Topper Hedden and things like that, which, he regretted. And, you can't mess with chemistry like that, so, all of us have gone off the rails at one point or another and been pulled back into the fold,
Has there ever come a point that any of you just thought, sod it, we're just not going to do this anymore?
Yeah, probably all of us have come to that point at one stage or another. Yeah. Certainly all of us, I'd say, yeah.
So just sort of go away from the album slightly, you've got Metway Studios. What was the rationale behind getting that in the first place? Was it somewhere that you could slowly go to down in Brighton and do your own thing without having the corporate man breathing down?
Yeah, it's all about control for us, everything, so basically we were on a small independent company, but this was still in
China.
It's still in the days of, massive record sales and residential recording studios, which you had to go and live in for 3 weeks and make your record and be treated like royalty. And so to be able to fund that, they would always give us an advance on our contract for an album. It's probably about $100,000, I think it was, or a bit more than that maybe, to make an album. And we basically, after our third album, we kind of went, hold on a minute, they're giving us like $100,000 and we're going into like a residential studio for 3 or 4 weeks making a record, and we thought, we could buy a house for that, or and convert it into a studio or drive a mobile studio up to it. And so we started looking around for places in Brighton because we were really ill with going up to London all the time. And
I can understand that.
Well, yeah. And so we just happened to come across the Metway, which is a massive old carpet warehouse that was a brewery before that, and it was huge. And they were selling it for like 90,000 quid because it was a property slump and they couldn't get rid of it. So we had it and we've been in there ever since, and filled it now. When we first used it, we were just using it one rehearsal room, one office. We wanted to have our office and our rehearsal room together for communications. We didn't want to have to keep going to London for our office, to see our management and stuff. So we did that. And then we wrote an album in there and we thought, it sounds really good in here. Let's just, instead of going to a studio again, let's just drive a mobile studio in and record it like that. And then we worked out it would actually be cheaper to actually buy the studio stuff than to hire a mobile in. And that's how it all started, really. But then albums after that, every time they gave us another advance, they were just paying us to record in our own studio and update it all. So that's how we got it.
If I remember rightly, you got loads of stuff from Tom Robinson to start, didn't you? Tom Robinson's gear?
Yes, we did, yeah. And the Wonder stuff, funny enough.
And the one, it's gone full circle.
But it's all fucking really common sense decisions. There's no rocket science in it. It's just
one line in the pocket of the man when you can do it for yourself.
Yeah, when you can buy your own shit.
Yeah. I mean,
Mrs. Thatcher would have been proud.
Do you do quite a lot of support upcoming bands in? I mean, Brighton. I used to live near Brighton and moved to this neck of the woods. Alan still lives down in Sutton, so he's down at Brighton, spending quite a bit of time with probably some people that you know from the old days. But the music scene sort of changed quite a lot down there.
There's two massive music colleges now. That's probably why.
Yeah. Do you find that? Is it? I hate to use the word, but is it still as buzzing as it was 20 odd years ago? Because I remember in the old days, everyone used to be like round the Eagle, round the Bugle,
it's not
or
like
somewhere
that.
like that.
It's not like that. It's all a bit. It's not like that. But there's every other kid's got a guitar on their back, so there's a lot of music going on. But a lot of it is people trying to learn it like you would learn a trade almost, to get a job in the music business, to be famous, basically. And so, you hear a lot of the same old shit being churned out.
Just generated.
Yeah, especially because our studios are loaned out for the colleges to use, so we hear a lot of it. But every now and then you will hear a band that is just so ridiculously good because they're all such good players and everything. And they make a first album that we still wouldn't be able to make now. In terms of playing and stuff. But there is a good buzz. I mean, it's just it's not the same, admittedly, but it's still.
Do you spend a lot of time personally down the studios? I mean, when the levels are.
Yeah, I live 100 yards from it.
So you're on the doorstep.
So it's easy, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, when you're not off touring, do you actually do quite a lot of stuff together, or do you just go off, do your own thing, and then get together after?
Both, really.
Yeah.
If we hang, we do stuff together. We socialise and go out to see gigs and stuff together. But we only kind of work together if we're actually writing. But we see each other quite a lot because everyone uses the Metway as a base.
Yeah.
I've got all my art stuff in there. Mark's got a little writing room and stuff. John does a lot of sound recording and all that.
Oh, that's good.
And Al Scott, who produced Levelling the Land, has his own studio in there as well.
So it's really gone full circle.
Yeah, well, Al's never left us from that. He's always been with us, since Levelling the Land.
Yeah. If you're going to start out in the music industry now, what advice would you give to anyone who's just like completely green in the industry?
I'd say make sure you do it because you enjoy doing it, because there's no guarantee that you'll get anywhere. So it's better to do it because you enjoy doing it, especially if you've got something to say. That means it will rub off on people, it will make it more engaging for people and you're more likely to do better. But there is no guarantees, so do it because you love it. That's the only thing I could say.
Whose idea was it to do the Beautiful Days festivals?
It was Mark's, really.
It was Mark's?
Yeah, we were doing V Festival at the time and we just thought this is the biggest load of shit we've ever been to. It's massive,
Is it 8th or 9th year this year?
9th year this year.
9th year.
And so we thought, let's try doing a festival that we went to when we were kids and living in buses and travellers and stuff. And we tried first year and the police stopped it just before it was going to happen. We had tickets on sale and everything. And that's when we moved the location. And since then, it's all been good. But we had to mortgage everything to start it. If we hadn't have sold out that first year, we would have bankrupted everything. Now it rolls over, so the Beautiful Days are a separate business to the Levellers and all that money rolls over. So.
Yeah, the days of the good old free festivals like Torpedo Town and all that sort of stuff have all just...
Well, it's gone.
Gone, isn't it? I mean, I think the spirits...
There still are kind of small gatherings, but you have to be young, basically, and on the scene, have your ear to the ground and know what's going on, which I don't really anymore,
It's funny because the mind's willing and the body isn't.
Well, yeah.
I think it just all catches up with it. I mean, obviously, the last album you put out was in 2008. Is there any sign of anything new coming out from the
we're halfway through writing one.
Yeah.
But we had about a year. We tried writing one straight after Letters from the Underground. We thought it'd be really easy because, we'd been working so well during Letters, and it's so easy to record. And then we went back to writing, and we just couldn't fucking come up with anything any good. And that it was like that for about a year and a half until we all were scared to go in and fucking try. But we managed to break that last year anyway. So
Are you doing that in Metway or going? Because
No, we don't really write in there.
Because with letters, you went off to Ireland, didn't you?
Yeah, this time we've got some friends up in North Yorkshire who own a hotel, so we go up there and have a room each and rehearse and record demos in their like conference room. You know, we do it at Metway sometimes, but there's too many distractions really. We record everything there once we know what we're doing, but the actual writing is better for us if we just get away from everything.
Yeah, just like remove yourself and just
Yeah.
so head on to it. Alan, you got any questions for Jamie? I
think you've covered a great deal there. Have you got any particular favourite pubs that you go to in Brighton now?
I don't really go to pubs that much these days. I don't really drink that much, but I mean, I suppose. Let me think.
Trying to retrack our misspent youth.
Well, a lot of those, like we all used to drink in the Eagle like years ago.
Yeah.
And still go to the Basket Makers opposite. I can't remember where I've been now. And like the other one was the Golden Cannon, which is in Kemp Town because we're near Metway because we all live there. And it used to be called the Sutherland. I think it's the Jolly Butcher now, or Three Jolly Butcher or something like that on the corner. But most of the old ones that I remember aren't really there anymore. But like I said, I'm not really a big drinker these days, so the others would be able to reel off a long list, I'm sure.
Yeah, I guess so. You've obviously, just one more question. Over the years, you've done a couple of cover versions, one of which, to be perfectly honest, is my favourite version of the song, and that was Subvert by Zales, which is just absolutely brilliant.
Can't go wrong with a song like that, really.
You can't, no. Would you consider doing any other covers by anybody else, and any ideas who?
I really want to do a song by
influences that have come into.
I really want to do a song by Husker Du called "She Floated Away," which I always thought we could do a really good version of that. Yeah. And then back in the day, we were talking about doing "Holiday in Cambodia" as well.
Doug Kennedy's track.
With that near on the fiddle would be really good. I think it's just been finding a way of singing it, you know, because you can't copy Jello Biafra. So
no, not at all.
But yeah, no, there's a few things that we might try in at some point.
Good. Well, Jeremy, thanks for your time. It's been a real pleasure to meet you.
No
and
problem.
Just really, it's good because this has sort of come full circle for us because we were following the Levellers years and years ago when we were down. And